Oh, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm coming to you today with breaking news on a Pakistani uh, Indian armed conflict. There has been an incident today. I brought up CNN here. You can see the article here. There has been two jets shot down by Pakistan. Pakistan shot down two Indian jets after they performed an incursion into Pakistan, a bombing raid. This is from CNN. Let's see if we can scroll down this. And all right, this is not really want to move like I want it to. There we go. Sorry about that. The controls here from my share screen are a little odd, but in any event, here we are. It says here this was the first time that India had launched airstrikes like this into Pakistani territory since 1971. So this is serious. Pakistan shoots down two Indian jets. Now, the scary thing about this is as follows. Both countries have substantial armies and substantial number of nukes, not like Russia and United States or China, but enough to cause a nuclear winter. I'm going to show you that in a second. The key thing is that Pakistan has the sixth largest standing army in the world, and India has the second largest. India's got 1 billion people. I mean, there's a lot of people here. There's a lot of armed forces. The real scary thing about India and Pakistan is they're right next to each other. This region of contention here, look at this. Their borders are right here. It's all intertwined. If you had a war between the United States and Russia, with the exception of the surprise attack elements that I talked about in my previous video, Putin pondering first strike, with the exception of that kind of a scenario, typically we've had the luxury in the past of being able to look over the polls and know 30 minutes ahead of time something was coming at us. You know, we could look and know and calculate and figure out, is this real? Do we have a software bogey here? Is something else going on? For example, a Black Brant rocket was launched in Norway, which almost caused the Russians to nuke the United States back when Yeltsin was president of Russia after the wall had fallen. And the deal there was that the people doing the Black Brant experimental rocket launch for scientific purposes notified the proper desk in Russia, but the desk guy just took it all cavalier and didn't send the word up to headquarters. There was a failure in communications, almost caused a nuclear war. But they had the luxury of time, and at the time, Yeltsin just wouldn't believe that Clinton was about to nuke him. But his generals were saying attack, attack, because that fit the scenario of a single missile coming up out of the Barents Sea from one of our submarines to EMP them before our nukes come over the horizon in force coming at them. So the generals thought they were under attack. Pakistan and India don't have the luxury of time. They're right next to each other. It's very easy for a miscalculation. They're on a hair trigger with each other. This is a very scary situation between these two countries, both of them having nuclear weapons. It is a worst case scenario for probability of a nuclear conflict. Attention's at a crucial time. I mean, you can go through this article yourself. I want to show you a couple of other interesting things here, though. Look at this. Pakistan possesses 150 nuclear warheads. 150. This, again, is another article. Same story from a British paper, the Express. And let's think. Well, and then we're going to come over here. First, let's go over here. India has estimated 75 to 110 nuclear warheads. That's quite a few. Now we go to Business Insider. It claims here in Business Insider that a limited nuclear exchange of just 100 small Hiroshima-sized, we're talking 15 kilotons. I talked about this last night in my Putin video, comparing it to the Tsar Bomba, which is 50 to 100 megatons. 100 of the small Hiroshima-sized bombs dropped on cities causing soot and things to enter the atmosphere could be sufficient to cause a nuclear winter. And here they're talking about effects colder than what we've had in 1,000 years. I mean, look down here in this article. This is in Business Insider. Let's see when this article was published. This goes back to August 10th, 2017. And actually, I think the picture that they're showing here, Mini Atom, I think that was the same image that was shown for the Zarbama bomb. Makes you wonder where these people get their images. In any event, probably it fits neither scenario. In any event here, we can see clearly that 115 kiloton devices is what they're talking about here, which are small by today's standards. There's more if you follow this article on down. There's something I'm going to show you here. Basically, we're talking about the firestorms that they would cause, that putting the soot in the atmosphere that would lower the temperatures to create this really cold climate, cold region. You see that? Look at that, guys. We're talking the coldest in 1,000 years. Now, we got 3 different things that can cause this right now. It just so happens that today it came out that Yellowstone has increased temperature in rivers and within a day in springs of 10 degrees Fahrenheit. That's amazing, scary. Yellowstone could cause the equivalent of a nuclear winter. Pakistan and India could cause an equivalent of a nuclear winter. And guess what? It looks like we have a grand solar minimum coming at us. You have grand solar minimums like once every 400 years, which is a lot bigger than the regular solar minimum, which causes things like the Maunder minimum, where it gets really cold. You have that year without a summer. Well, it seems there's longer cycles and a lot of indicators, and there's a number of people out there claiming that we are, in fact, looking at a once in 2,000 year event. It would be awful if all 3 of these coincided. If the holes in the Swiss cheese lined up, any 1 or 2 of them alone is enough. So the bottom line on that is you need to prepare. And I'm all about growing food, and you're going to have to do that when all this is over. But in the meantime, it looks like you're going to have to store food too. So I'm going to have to change my tune on that a little bit. We're going to have to both look at storing and growing. But in any event, let me show you some more stuff here. So coming over here to Wikipedia. In Wikipedia, it talks about these 100 conventional weapons also, but they're talking about just the use of 100 weapons, just 100 firestorms. They're saying if each country just used 50 weapons, it would be enough. Well, we just saw already in the other articles here that Pakistan has 150 and India has like 110 nuclear weapons. They each have as much by themselves, more than enough to cause a scenario. If they use half of what they got, we could get there. And that's an if. Let's pray that don't happen. Let's pray cooler heads prevail so that we won't have cooler climate prevailing. But in this case, the thing with these countries are they're at each other's throats. You saw the map. Let me show you from Google Earth. And I'm going to have to share that. I'll stop this share. Hang on. And go in and share the Google Earth. Here we are. Blow this up. This is from Google Earth. And I'm going to show you what's significant about this region, this Jammu, Kashmir region in India and Pakistan. They both claim this area. Here's that shared border. Google Earth's not really so good in showing national borders. But the key thing here is it's the Indus River. The Indus River is mostly in Pakistan. India was named after the Indus River, right? That's kind of a funny thing. You think about it. But the headwaters are here in the Jammu, Kashmir area that they're fighting over. India needs and wants these headwaters. I mean, they're just crucial for India. But Pakistan cannot live without this water. All this water that comes down the Indus River originates up here in the Himalayan mountains. And Pakistan cannot live without it. This is really what they're fighting. They're not just fighting over land. They're fighting over survival. They're fighting over water rights. Now, I'm going to tell you, you can draw water from air, and preferably to get turned into a cinder. Maybe they can figure out a way to to go below them down here and get some water out of these out of the ocean, Indian Ocean, and find some way to desalinate it. You know, for all the money you spent on nuclear weapons and all the research they did on that and all the money spent and the risk of the outcome of using them, can't there be some suitable solution found for that and pulling water out of air? I'll have to go into that more in some future videos about the use of various devices, including passive devices for that. A water worker, for example, which is a passive device made out of bamboo and cloth that can collect water out of the air in deserts and places. They've done this. Or the Atacama Desert in the Andes, where they're collecting water out of the air. Shoot, my dehumidifier in this house, I use in my microgreens, gets 2 gallons a day. Of course, it's got to use electrical power to run, but you can get water out of air. So this is what they're potentially fighting over. They got the differences in religion, which is very hot, intense. They got land and water, 3 reasons that they're at each other. And if resources are getting more scarce, the conflict could get more heated. The problem, again, is this. It's miscalculation. When you are right there, right up against your enemy, and you can't afford for them to nuke you first, you're both on the hair trigger, both sides. And each side knows the other guy's on the hair trigger. Now, neither one wants to instigate a nuclear war if they can avoid it. But when both are expecting the other may be on the verge and they're over there shooting at each other already, the possibilities exist. We had several close calls. I just mentioned one for nuclear war with Russia, the Soviet Union, back in the old days. Several, including the ones with Russia after the Soviet Union fell when Yeltsin was president, between Yeltsin and Clinton. We were all laying in our beds thinking we had daytime and everything was cool. We didn't know we were on the verge of getting nuked. Today, we know that Putin is rattling his saber, we might get. So, you know, when you look at it, Putin, Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Yellowstone, Grand Solar Minimum. My friends, we got things to think about. You better prepare. So I'm going to show you something on that. Let's see here. I didn't do that. I got to stop my share. I'm going to learn how to use this thing here in a minute. Go back to the internet. Nuclear winter, hope that's it. Let's see. There we go. Good. And sometimes these screens are hard to see when I'm choosing back and forth what I'm sharing and not sharing, especially when it's text like this. It don't show up too well on the board that I have to work from. So my apologies if it was a bit clunky. You know, I just did this video about Putin. I just posted it today. And Putin ponders first strike. And I hope this thing don't launch on me. One of my readers, subscribers who has her own homesteading channel that you should look at and subscribe to, Rose of Sharon Homestead. She said her and her family had been having dreams about this, and that inspired visions, dreams. And her kids didn't know what an EMP was, but they were dreaming about it. It's right here. And she said this all had to do with Saturn planetary lineup in December of 2020. She said she checked it out on Google and found, in fact, that's the case. Described the effects of a flash in the sky, cars stop moving. Yeah, that sounds like an EMP. Are we going to get EMP'd in December 2020? I don't know. And like I just put out the video about Putin putting out a first strike, he would consider it, especially if he thinks that we might hit him, it's to his advantage. I mean, if he thinks we're going to hit him, he hasn't much choice. So if we make him think we're going to hit him, that's not a smart thing. We're best if we can let cooler heads prevail. And let's hope these things don't come to pass. But if they do, we need to prepare. My channel is all about growing your own food. I've got tons of stuff on here on that, and you're going to have to know to do it. But you're going to need good seed to grow your food. And one thing available here at My Patriot Supply is seed, heirloom seed. And you can get these things. Click the link below. Support my channel. I mean, I need some help. Support my channel. Help me get these things going. come in here and look at the seeds. Look, 50% off sales. You can get fruit seed, herb seed, seeds for sprouting, which you can also use for microgreens, vegetable seeds. Okay, beans, broccoli, carrots, kale, peas. There's all kind of good stuff in here. And you're going to need, if we have a nuclear winter, a volcanic winter, grand solar minimum extended winter, or all three winters put together, you may need 7 to 10 years of this stuff. And if you can't get all that first, do what you can. Some things can be grown indoors if you get enough seed. And somebody asked, oh, do you have to have overhead lights to grow microgreens? Actually, pea shoots or golden shoots are preferred by a lot of restaurants. You grow them in a totally no light, and they grow out real large and are edible. They're just not green, but they're nice and tender. Look at these mills and look at the prices on them, my friends. I mean, look here. You can get some of these mills for less than $2 a mill. I mean, and it's good food. You can't beat that. And look, water purification. I did a video on water purification. Well, oh, pillows. That's it right there. So let me get back out of that. You can get well, air purification. I think that's what I clicked on. Yeah, it was air purification. Well, if you get all this contaminant in the atmosphere from all this nuclear exchange, you're going to want that. There are survival essentials, survival gear, colonial concepts, light and first aid. My Patriot Supply is loaded down with all kind of things that a prepper should want, and a prepper can use. Survival kits, cups, hardware. We're talking your entrenching tool, hatchets, cheap prices. Look at these guys. Cup $3.25. The hatchet was cheap. Prep blowout. They have a special sell section, which is even cheaper. They had sales on the other sides. Everything was discounted. So help yourself, prepare. Don't be scared, be prepared. But you can help yourself by getting the food that you can store. This is 25-year supply of food. And you can help me and my channel by buying it through the link that I'll provide below. It'll be in the description, and I'll try to put it also in the one of my comments on a pin. So, my friends, oh yeah, I also have this channel, Galactic Greg's. Yikes. So for those from Leak Project, you'd love that. And maybe I need to kill this before the video starts or something to interrupt us, or I'll just stop the share. Bam. In any event, I'm going to do another video just on Yellowstone, on this temperature rise, because that is also scary. What is going on today? What's going on right now? All at once, Putin's rattling a saber. We've got the stuff going on with India and Pakistan. The rivers and springs in Yellowstone has suddenly increased temperature by 10 degrees. Pay attention. Maybe, most people have normalcy bias. Normalcy bias says everything will always be the same. Nothing's going to change. Usually that's never the case, because the only thing certain is change. But let's hope the change is positive. There's a lot of good things that can happen in the future, but we've got to kind of force it and make it happen. There's people who would like their dream, their hot dream for the future is that they got all this control on us. They have us contained, and so that we don't have the freedoms and liberties, and so that we can be all put in a little box. Put us in ISO shipping containers next to the rail lines in big cities and stack them up. That's how they want us to live. That's Agenda 21 or Global 2030. That's their globalist dream for the future, for those that they deem worthy to be able to eat, breathe, and live in those stack-ups. Not much of a life, especially if it put us under a hive mind. That's no life at all. You're not even a human being. You have no freedom in your own head. Yeah, they lure you into that, just like the convenience of our phones and Facebook and how convenient everything is, and it all seems nice, and just lure you in like fly bait. But where does it lead? Do they put the implant in here? How much control does it have over you? Can it be hacked? Like with our computers, when they first started out, we controlled everything. They'd always ask us, do you want to update? Now they do it on their own. I mean, is Microsoft going to be in charge of neural lace in your head? I mean, you're going to have it to have your job, because you won't be competitive. You can't think 100 times faster, or they can't check your security. So you've got to have this implant to have a job. And we might be talking about a chip. We're talking about wiring straight into the old beam. That's what Elon Musk is developing, this neural lace, to combat and make us competitive with AI. Now, I think AI is a boogeyman. The only thing I worry about AI is who's controlling the puppet strings behind it. In any event, I got off topic here. The thing is, be aware, prepare. Don't be scared. Be prepared. We can do this. We can get through it, but we've got to work at it. We got to open our eyes. We got to wake up our friends and neighbors and say, hey, look, we do live in dangerous, perilous times. Please pay attention. Start saving food. You're better off if your neighbors are all doing this too, rather than knocking on your door asking for what you saved. Because there's only so much to go around, and you can only prepare so much. And when they get really hungry and their kids are getting really hungry, they're not going to care about how much you spent to do it when they didn't spend money to do it or whatever. They're going to want it. So just keep that in mind. When their kids are starving, nothing else matters. Civility is gone. It only took 3 days in Katrina in New Orleans for civility to be gone. The law enforcement, gone. Emergency providers, gone. I've said enough. I think we can have a bright future. We just got to work for it. We may or may not be in the store for us, though. Whatever the case is, be prepared. I do believe as long as we have breath in our lungs, we have hope. Never give up, because you always have a chance until you give up. We can get this. We're all descendants of survivors. Therefore, you have it within you. You can survive, and you can thrive, and you want your children and your descendants to survive and thrive. So if you pay attention, watch my channel, you got the chance and opportunity to do that, to learn what you need to learn. So please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like my videos, and click the update notification bell. And stay with me as I cover this broad range of topics, because that's what it really takes in order to know what you need to know. One, you have to know what the threats are that might come at you. Then you've got to know how to live outside in the wilderness if you have to, how to grow the kind of things you need to grow, how to be able to have worms so that you don't have to go to the store, which won't be available to buy fertilizers and pesticides. You won't be able to do that. You got to grow your own stuff. You got to have your own source supplies. And that's what I'm here to help you with. So pay attention, stay tuned, stay alive, thrive, and hope you all have a wonderful week.